Welcome to my story time by mybooksummary.com. Get ready for quick wisdom of countless stories and explore. Hansel and Gretel by Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, in a small cottage at the edge of a vast, dark forest, lived a poor woodcutter with his wife and two children, Hansel and Gretel. The family was struggling to make ends meet, and food was growing scarcer by the day. The woodcutter's wife, who was the children's stepmother, fretted endlessly over their dwindling supplies. One evening, as the children lay in bed, too hungry to sleep, they overheard their stepmother whispering to their father. "We have barely enough food to last us another day," she said, her voice edged with desperation. "If we keep these children with us, we will all starve. Tomorrow, we must take them deep into the forest and leave them there." The woodcutter's heart ached at the thought of abandoning his children, but he was weak against his wife's resolve. Meanwhile, Hansel and Gretel clung to each other in fear, listening to every word. As soon as their parents fell asleep, Hansel slipped out into the moonlit night and gathered small white pebbles, stuffing them into his pockets. When dawn arrived, the stepmother woke them hastily and handed them a small piece of bread each. "We're going to gather wood," she said. "Stay close and don't stray." Hansel, aware of their stepmother's true intentions, secretly dropped pebbles along the path as they walked deeper into the woods. After hours of walking, they reached a small clearing where their parents instructed them to rest by a fire while they went to chop wood. The children waited and waited, but no one returned. When the moon rose, illuminating the forest with silvery light, Hansel took Gretel's hand and led her back home, following the glistening trail of pebbles. Their father was overjoyed to see them, but their stepmother's face hardened. Days passed, and once again, the household was gripped with hunger. The stepmother once more persuaded the woodcutter to abandon the children in the forest. This time, she locked the doors at night so Hansel could not gather pebbles. The next morning, they were given a meager portion of bread before being led deep into the forest once again. This time, Hansel dropped crumbs of his bread along the way, hoping to mark their path home. After they were left alone once more, the children waited until the moon rose, but when they turned to follow the breadcrumb trail, they found it had vanished, eaten by birds. Lost and frightened, they wandered deeper into the forest. Days passed, and their small pieces of bread had long since been eaten. They grew weaker with hunger until at last, they stumbled upon a strange and marvelous sight, a house made entirely of gingerbread, sugar, and cakes. The walls were crisp and golden, the roof slathered in icing, and the windows gleamed like spun sugar. Overcome with hunger, the children rushed forward and broke off pieces of the house to eat. Just as they were savoring their first real meal in days, a voice croaked from inside. "Nibble, nibble, little mouse. Who's that nibbling at my house?" The door creaked open, and an old woman appeared, smiling warmly. "Oh, my dear children, you must be starving. Come inside and rest." The children, though wary, were too tired and hungry to refuse. Inside, they found a cozy room with a roaring fire and a feast spread across a wooden table. The old woman, who was unbeknownst to them a wicked witch, fed them sweet milk, warm bread, and fresh fruit. Hansel and Gretel ate until their bellies were full, then were led to soft, warm beds. As they drifted into sleep, they felt safe at last. But their relief was short-lived. The next morning, Hansel awoke to find himself trapped inside a small iron cage. The old woman cackled gleefully as she prodded him through the bars. "You will grow fat, boy, and then I shall eat you," she shrieked. Gretel, terrified, was forced into servitude, cooking and cleaning for the witch. Each day, the witch ordered Gretel to bring her food to fatten Hansel. But Hansel, being clever, tricked her by offering a thin bone instead of his finger whenever she checked to see if he had grown plump. "Still too skinny," the witch grumbled. "Eat more." Weeks passed, and the witch grew impatient. "Plump or not, I shall eat him tomorrow," she declared. She ordered Gretel to heat the oven, intending to roast her brother alive. As the oven roared to life, the witch leaned inside to check the flames. Gretel, seeing her chance, mustered her courage and pushed the witch into the blazing oven, slamming the door shut. The witch let out a horrible screech, but it was too late. She was burned to ash. Gretel rushed to free Hansel, and together they searched the witch's house. They found chests filled with gold, jewels, and treasures beyond their wildest dreams. Stuffing their pockets full, they left the house behind and ventured back into the forest, hoping to find their way home. After days of wandering, they stumbled upon a familiar path. Soon, they saw their father's cottage in the distance. The woodcutter, who had been racked with guilt, embraced his children with tears of joy. Their stepmother had since passed away, and the family was reunited. With the witch's treasure, they never went hungry again, and they lived happily and securely for the rest of their days. And so, Hansel and Gretel's courage and cleverness had saved them from certain doom, proving that even in the darkest of times, hope and wit can light the way home. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummery.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.